Shalom. Right. Psalm 105 and verse 3 says, "Glory ye in his holy name. Let the hearts of them rejoice that seek the Lord." That's what the book of Psalms 105 verse 3 says. Let's read it again. "Glory you in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord." It's just straightforward reading, right? But then, most of us already believe we know who we're talking about. Because in our spirits and in our hearts, we have a determination and a determinant that we are reading these things in reference to. Glory ye. Give glory to his holy name, and let the heart of them that rejoice, let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. All right? Glory you in his holy name. Whose holy name? Whose holy name? And let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Which Lord? Psalm 105 and 3. Which holy name and which Lord are we talking about? Look, if you live in a culture where that word Lord is used regularly, you will understand that this could be referring to any Lord. In England, they have a place called the House of Lords. Am I right? Yeah. In the courts of law, they have the law lords, and people reference them or revere them as lords. My lord. Old monarchs were called my lord, and so on and so forth. Now, when we read in this Psalm 105 and 3, which says, "Glory you in his holy name," yeah, "and let the hearts of them that rejoice seek the Lord," we are now asking which Lord and what is that holy name? What is the holy name and who is the Lord? Now, I know you think, yeah, we all know. What are you asking? This is such a stupid thing to ask. It's not, my friends. There are many lords in this world. Let's start with the highest Lord you can find. When I say the highest Lord, I mean that the earth worships. The highest Lord that the earth worships today is not the Creator. It's not the Creator who they call Lord. Am I wrong? Because the whole earth, as Job 9 and 24 says, lies in the hands of the wicked. In fact, if you just look at the world today, you know they cannot be worshipping the Creator. It's impossible that even 1% of this earth is worshipping the Creator. 1% of this earth. I think it's possibly impossible that they're worshipping the Creator, even in ignorance. Some people, and most of us, probably worship the Creator in ignorance, thinking we're calling on all the right names, okay? But it's done in ignorance and in the traditions of men. The traditions of man. You may be born a Muslim, and they tell you the name of God is Allah. And you grow up knowing that name. And you may grow up as a Christian and they tell you the name of God is Jehovah. And you may believe that. They may tell you the name of God is Yahweh. You may believe that. And so on and so forth. My main concern here is first and foremost for those of us who believe and think we already know the truth. And that truth is first to find out the identity of the Creator himself, separate from the identity of the impersonator, of the impostor God. Okay? Now, this is very important because you do not want to give praise to the wrong power. Look, if you have a wife or a girlfriend or a husband or a boyfriend, you do not want to give her praise to the wrong woman. You do not want to give his praise to the wrong man. You cannot afford to do that. You cannot be ignorant and continue in ignorance and keep doing that. Nobody likes when praise is taken above their heads, which is due to them, and given to someone else. Do you really think your Creator is happy with that? Scripture talks about it. The sheep and the cattle know its owner, but my people Israel do not know their God. And I keep using that word God. I don't like to use it. I like to use the word power and creator, because look, that word God, misleading. So cattle and dogs and animals know their own master. They hear the voice of their master. They know his whistle. They know his call. If they could know names, they probably know his name. But my people, Israel, as the Most High Creator says, do not even know their God, do not know their power, right? So we have a situation now where a lot of people, and I have to get back on point here, specifically those of us Israelites who say we know who we serve, we know what power we serve, who has called us out to be his representatives on earth, because we've got a job to do, right? And that job, in case you've missed it, is to teach the nations who the Creator is. How are you going to teach the nations who the Creator is when we can't even understand what his name is and what his name is not? For all I know, up to 50% of the Israelites out there, Hebrew Israelites and all over the world, and Christians, are still giving praise unto the wrong power. Mainly 90%, 99% of the world's praise, which is supposed to be going on to the Creator of this earth and the heavens and everything, is being channeled to Satan. Satan is being given the honor and the glory and the power too. And that's why this earth is in the chaos it is. Look, if you doubt this message, how possible, you ask yourself, how is it possible that there could be 2 billion God-worshipping Muslims on the earth and another 2 billion God-worshipping Christians on the earth? They say they worship God. And when they say God, they mean the Creator of the heavens and the earth and the sea and everything that's in it. When they say they worship this power, and we know from Scripture that the Father asked us to try him and see if he wouldn't bless us, okay? Now, how can we say 4 billion people out of the 6 billion worshiping the true power, and yet the world is in this state? So we know it's a lie, and we know that the worship that they profess to worship is given to none other but Satan. I repeat that again. The worship that the Christians and the Muslims and all the religions of the earth profess to worship and profess to be given to the Creator is nothing but a lie. All that worship in all the names they use is worship in glory and praise that they are given unto Satan himself, the devil. And those names are, amongst others, is Jehovah, Yahweh, Allah, and look, there's so many other names that we can call into here, right? The hidden ones and the non-hidden ones. And all these names belong to Satan. I know there are a lot of us out there, and this might offend some people, but believe me, that's not the point here. The point is not to strike up a fight or an argument, but the point is to contend for truth, to contend for the true spirit of the Most High Creator himself. Now, for those of us who want to say Yahweh is the name of the Creator, there is absolutely no basis for that in Scripture. The only Yahweh that exists in Scripture, if you really do your homework, historically and biblically, you will find that that Yahweh is actually two words. You might want to argue, but look, Yahweh consists of two words there, the Yah and the Way. Yah just means any power, any God. In many cultures, that word Yah just means any power, any God, Jah. Call it as you want. And the Way is just the additive now, the suffix to Yah, which also has its own separate meaning. I intend to go into that in a different lesson. I'm going to show you all these proofs and evidence. This little video here is just to spike your mind with some truth, to make you to start to think. It is not an offense towards you. It is not a call to arms against you. It is a call to arms against the big lie. We understand in the book of Revelation that Satan is that power that deceives the whole world. Could we indeed all have been deceived? No matter how much good intentions we have to follow the Most High power, we must not do that in ignorance, because Scripture tells us, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? The book goes on to tell us that because we have forsaken knowledge, he will forsake us too. Is that true? Look, we do not want to be forsaken. So, as the book says in Psalm 105, glory you in his holy name. Let the heart of them that rejoice seek the Lord. What is his name? And who is the Lord that Scripture speaks about? What is the name of this Lord that Scripture speaks about? His name is not Yahweh, is not Jehovah, and surely is not Allah. We are not all serving the same power today. It's not possible. Look, since the beginning of time, since Adam fell, wake up, my friends. The whole earth has been in disarray. The whole Bible, Scripture, is just the story and the history, the records of how man just kept drifting further and further away from the power, a higher, the Creator. That's all it is. At no one time can you recall where a group of people came together persistently, consistently, and worshiped the Father in spirit and in truth. So the book says that in the last days I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, right? That all flesh there now needs to be broken down. All flesh don't have that spirit, because all flesh is not worshiping the Father in spirit and in truth. It's impossible. Impossible. We are not all worshiping the Father in spirit and in truth, i.e., do we know his name? Are we giving praise to him? Are we worshiping him? Is it indeed him that we consider the power over us? You can't call somebody else's name and expect a different person to answer you. His name is as he revealed it in the book of Exodus 3 and 14 from there upon, yeah? His name is I am that I am. A higher Asher, a higher Asher, a higher. That's the name he revealed unto Moshe. That is the name he said shall be his memorial unto all generations, even forever. Now, how do you want to make that name fit into Yahweh? Look, we are not talking about a name that's been given to you and it's been explained to you that it means God. That's just that's their reasoning. That's their philosophy. Don't let any man deceive you, okay? That's their philosophy. They tell you it means. It's like me coming now and say, yeah, Yabulon means God. Would you accept that? Or would you not go into your etymology and study and say, who is Yabulon? And also, you don't even know who Yabulon is, right? Yabulon, Yabulani, okay? You'd accept anything. Yahweh does not represent I am that I am. It don't even work out. It just don't break down. But like I said, I'm going to show you who Yahweh is. I'm going to show you who Jehovah is. I'm going to show you who Allah is. They are all and one, the same. I know this is hard for you. You really believe that you know the truth about his name. But I have a suspicion there are some Hebrew Israelites and Christians out there who are actually wolves in sheep's clothing, who come with the Bible, come with scripture, very knowledgeable in many parts, but at that crucial point they inject deception into the people's minds. But the people are easily carried along, but because the people are sheep. We all are sheep. Look, we can be sheep to Satan, or we can be sheep to the Most High Creator. Whichever way you look at it, we're still sheep. But when the Spirit of the Most High is on you, you've got to be discerning. Don't let any man come and say Yahweh means the Creator. Yahweh don't mean the Creator. And I'm just going to ask you this question here. If you're a Hebrew Israelite, or you're a Christian, or you're a pagan or an atheist, and you're also pondering these matters in your heart, look, before you start to believe in the power, the true creator of the earth, the heavens and the seas and everything that we know, before you start to believe in any such power as the benevolent power, the merciful, that loving creator who gives us that spirit of love and of wellness that we appreciate on this earth, that we yearn for peace, okay? Yeah? Before we start to do that research about him, here's my advice. First, do the research about the adversary. Do the research about Satan first. Find out all the names that Satan is called, that he goes by, all his friends, all his associates, all the fraternities and all these things. Find out first about all of them. That way you can narrow down to what the true name of the Most High Creator, the Most High Power would be. Because you know what? He does not share anything in common with all these names. Look, there are these people who call themselves Jews in Israel today. Classic example. They say they believe in this power called God. And you ask them who that God is, they will tell you they don't like to speak his name. So they write his name YHWH, which is Yahweh, right? But you know in your mind, these people do not represent that power, who they call the Creator. They are not representing any nice power you can ever think of, you can imagine. They don't represent the Creator. They don't represent a higher. They do not represent him, because you just need to look at all the things that surround them, that surrounds their system and their nation and their religion, to know they cannot be people who the Lord, and I say the Lord here, the power who is our Lord, they do not represent these people to go into the world to teach, to preach, to heal the peoples of the world. They're not interested in that. In fact, they're excluding people out of their belief system because they've got something to hide. And what is the name of the God that they worship? You and them share that same name, Yahweh, Jehovah. So you actually see what you have in common with them. What does light and darkness have in common? Can you sit at the table of the Most High and still sit at the table of the devil at the same time? Are you now having a mixture of truth and lie in your cup? How possibly can we say we are serving the creator of this earth and give praise yet to the devil? It's impossible. The whole Christian world, 2 billion of them, for whom judgment is coming upon this world, for they haven't fed the hungry, they haven't clothed the homeless, they haven't cared for the sick, and haven't visited those locked up in bondage. Yet they call upon Yahweh and Jehovah and tell you they worship God. And you think for 1 minute that is the true power that sustains our lives. That's not it, brother. Please. This is just meant to be a call first to your heart, and maybe you wake up, maybe your brain will wake up, and don't just believe things. Don't even believe me what I'm saying. You don't need to do that. I do not want you to believe me just like that. I need you to do your own research first. Do your own research first. But in the meantime, that don't mean you can't worship the power who created us all, but stop giving praise to the devil. So you say, yeah, so how am I supposed to worship him when I don't know his name, if I can't be sure whose name I'm worshiping yet? This is how to go about it. Just call on him as the creator. Call on him as the creator of the heavens and the earth and the seas and everything. Because he's the only one who has that power. Use that name as you understand it in your soul, in whatever language you speak. First, use that name and keep coming back here for knowledge. I've got information for you. It may be long, but hey, look, it's soul food, and you got to eat it. There's no crash courses here. It's something that is going to last all eternity. The knowledge of our power, the knowledge of a higher, a higher. It's going to last all eternity. There's no rush. We'll know his name. That's his name. He says, I am the great I am. And look, that name alone tells you that is his name. No one else can claim that name, I am. It's ever-present, omnipresent, omniscient. I am. I don't even need any other name in whatever language you want to say it. It's like yesterday he is I am, today he is I am, tomorrow he is I am. He is, he just is. He is. You don't need to bring up fanciful names, Yahweh and Jehovah, and let devils and satanic Luciferians tell you it means your creator. Don't listen to that lie. As the Father said, through the Son, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. May the Father bless you. Peace. Do come back and check periodically for more videos, because I intend surely to show you who these gods are. I know there's some brothers out there who are doing good work and are bringing forth truth. There are some who need encouragement, and there's some who need to base themselves in humility and learn first. Please do learn. This is not the time for us to fight and argue. This is the time for us to say, okay, brother, in peace, in a calm manner. If I'm wrong, please show me. Yeah, I'm the pastor of a church. I'm the leader of some brethren somewhere. All these things don't matter. They matter only if we bring in forth truth, if we're teaching each other truth. Then they matter. But we do not need a place of pride, because pride goes before a fall. We need to teach truth, and we need to do that with humility. And we need to do that with a spirit of truth, as the Father says in Joel 2:28, I think, that in the last days he shall pour out his spirit on all flesh. You know the whole scripture, right? And he confirmed that again in the last days. But the last days we have that spirit, and we have the information. We have the information to eliminate the lie. Look, the truth is not that big in this world that everybody has it. Yahweh, Yahweh everywhere. The Jews are calling on Yahweh and killing everyone. And when I say Jews, please don't take me as I'm hating anyone. And don't use that word anti-Semitic either, because I'm a Semite myself. Okay? What I'm talking about here is the lie that there is an institution set up to defend the lie. And all the churches you go to, the Christian churches, ask them what's his name. They'll tell you it's Yahweh, it's Jehovah. So we know who's sponsoring these churches. It's all satanic worship. The devil is happy. The Creator is really upset because he says, I am a jealous power and I share my glory with no one. Believe me, he means it. And if you persist in ignorance and rebellion without doing your own research and study, believe me, that judgment, let me not go there. I pray that this message, as long as it is, will bless you and bring you to more learning. Be as the Bereans who every day went studying in scripture and otherwise to see if those things that they were told are true. Okay? So I say peace and I say shalom. I brought this message out to you in love. This is Truth Life saying, may the Most High bless you. Ahaya, Asha, Ahaya is his name.
Now, here comes this source. Now you have to be very observant now. The true name of Satan, the Kabbalists say, is Yahweh. Reversed. For Satan is not a black god, but a negation of God. For initiates, this is not a person, but a force. Do you have heard of movies that say, the force be with you? Okay. Please note, I'll read this again. To the Kabbalists, they say Yahweh reversed. Okay? So that's their God. They turn everything upside down. To the outside world, they say Yahweh. To the inner world, it means what? Satan. So they can preach in the name of Jesus Christ the most eloquent sermons, and you wouldn't know that they're preaching about Lucifer. You wouldn't know. Now, the name of Yahweh reversed. Now, I was in Israel the other day, and I was on the track of something very important, and I took many photographs. And a man came up to me and he flashed something at me. Very strange. There was another evangelist right next to me. And he flashed something and he says, look, Allah is your God upside down. And he walked away. And I thought he was nuts. I read the statement. And I went to a Hebrew scholar. And I said, will you check this out for me? And he battled and he battled and he battled and he battled. When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamic dynamo of living power, he has learned the mastery of his craft. The seething energy of Lucifer are in his hands. Manly Palmer Hall, high Masonic form. The devil is now called darkness by the church, whereas in the Bible he's called the Son of God, Lucifer, son of the morning. One quote after the other. And here's the other quote, Blavatsky, Secret Doctrine. Jehovah, esoterically, is also the serpent or dragon. I'm not saying it. The highest source in occultism is saying it. That tempted Eve, and the dragon is an old glyph for astral light, which is wisdom in chaos. So, esoterists turn everything upside down. Here she writes in Secret Doctrine, the great serpent of the Garden of Eden and the Lord God are identical. They're Luciferians, you see. And so are Jehovah and Cain 1, the Cain who is referred to in theology as the murderer and the liar. So the God of the Bible is the murderer and the liar, and the serpent is exalted. That's secret esoteric teaching, only known to the adepts. Here another quote from Secret Doctrine. The appellation Satan in Hebrew, Satan, an adversary, to be adverse belongs by right to the first and cruelest adversary of all the other gods, Jehovah, not to the serpent, who spoke only words of sympathy and wisdom. And it is the worst, even in the dogma, the adversary of man. See? So the bad guy is Jesus. The good guy is Satan. Therefore Jehovah was called by the Gnostics the creator of and one with Ophiomorphos, the serpent, Satan. They turn it upside down. I'm not making this up. He's known as the supreme architect of the universe. This is all quotes. Who has promised that we shall never, never die. This is a Masonic source which blows them out of the water. What do they call their deity? The supreme architect of the universe. But he's the one who said you will never, never die. Which one said that? The serpent said it. So the poor Masons in the lower ranks don't know these things. Here's another one from Morals and Dogma, just to make sure that you see that I'm not making this up. The deity of the Old Testament is everywhere represented as the direct author of evil. I hereby promise to Lucifer, my soul, the secret teaching of all ages, mainly Palmer Hall. And who is then allowed to know the truth about Masonry? Well, we must create a super right which remains unknown. Only some may know these things and others not. Now, when you become a Shriner, that means when you have reached the 32nd degree of Freemasonry, you qualify after 6 months to become a Shriner. Now, if you were a Christian, you swore allegiance on the Bible. But when you become a Shriner, you swear allegiance to Allah. With the Quran on the altar, we sealed our solemn oath in the name of Allah, the God of Arab, Muslim, Mohammedan, the God of our fathers. Wow, that's interesting. The Maslah, here is one of their phases. Now we understand something. The one is a front organization for a front organization, but the one who receives worship is Rome, not Islam. Islam is subservient to Rome without anyone knowing it. So let's repeat this one. The true name of Satan, the Kabbalists say, is Yahweh reversed. And here it is. There's the name of God, Yahweh, as it is in Hebrew. If you carefully reverse it, each one, and turn it upside down, in reverse writing you have that. Upside down you have that. You press it together, you have that, and that spells Allah in Arabic. Wow, that's fascinating stuff. So that man who came to me there and flashed this at me and disappeared, was he right? That's scary. That's scary.
Okay. The lesson we're going into tonight, we hope through the Spirit of the Most High that it resonates through. We pray to Ahia and the Most High and His Son Yeshaya. We ask them to help us through this, and that this information, if researched, can help free our people. And it's only the will of the Father, only the Most High, have the power to release us from our prisons. But all in all, we're going to do our best to bring it out, and may it fall on those who understand. Like Yeshaya say, he that have an ear, let him hear. As you know, for years we did research on the name of the Most High. And when we received the name, it was before the research. I want to put that out there. Brothers fasted through fasting and prayer for some days. The Most High's name was revealed. And once it was revealed, we had to proclaim the name. The research after the Most High revealed his name was done after we knew it. It was in the early, it was like the year 2000, 2001. And we kept the name until, we taught the people we knew in our circle, but YouTube and the other outlets of the internet allowed us to speak it on a broader level to let everyone know what the Most High revealed. At first, we were hesitant with bringing it forth. We were just teaching about what was going on in the earth and proclaiming the coming of our Lord and letting everyone know who was against us, and the fact that in order to fight this battle, we must wake up and come together as a people. Eventually, we had to bring forth the name. Now, it was two things. Number one, and I'm going to speak of this in a few moments, if the Most High permit. At that time, you have to realize, at this time, I grew up along with brothers in the early 90s as a young man, as an Israelite, from the brothers up in New York. And, we got high up in there. I was a so-called general up in there of high shield through the Spirit of the Most High at that time. And at that time, according to the ancient Phoenician, I said his name was Yahweh. Now, I said his name was Yahweh because that's what our teachers taught us. And if someone would have put a gun to my head at that time and asked me to denounce that name, I would not have done it, because I believe that was the God that revealed the truth to us. But no. See, the Most High worked with us before the womb. Okay? He worked with us before we ran into anything. We were with Christ in the beginning. He told the disciples, I will bring all things to your remembrance, and that ye was with me in the beginning. So we can't stake claim or try to say that our walks of life can be attributed to one part of our life. The Most High was there. That's for all of us from the beginning. But this is the journey. There was other things within the doctrine that I didn't know. I was just happy to know that I was an Israelite at that time. At this time, I would have defended the teachings of reincarnation. And I'm putting this personal testimony out so people will know that all the doctrine that's out there, we've been there. Okay, I know exactly all the teachings that they teach on this because I've taught it, and I put my life on the line defending it. Okay, but it takes a certain level of humbling to say, you know what? All right, that's what I thought was right at that time. But once you learn something true, you either stand with truth or become a man pleaser and just stay in a lie. At this time, if someone would have told me that baptism shouldn't be with water, should be with water, I would have argued them down in the early 90s. Why? Because we was teaching, according to Ephesians, the 5th chapter, that the washing is the water of the word. So there was no physical water baptism. Now, this is not an attack on other people. I'm just letting you know the journey that we have experienced, that I've experienced, because it's paramount that we can take you through this journey so there's no argument when it comes to doctrine and understanding. So these are things the Most High took us through. Okay? And that was in the early 90s. And then the Most High, through the Spirit, revealed other information. Okay? Baptism is correct because Christ was baptized. And one thing about the doctrine of Christ and the doctrine of truth, when it comes to the Bible, this is how any of you brothers and sisters know if something is true or false. If someone changed from what was originally taught in any doctrine, it will not stand. It's not the truth. If someone will have to come to you with one doctrine and say, well, listen, the light is getting brighter, or there's a change based on this, then that means the foundation wasn't on Christ from the beginning. I'm saying this because in the early 90s, those that was teaching that there wasn't a hell started teaching there was a hell. And then it came with the argument, okay, if there's a hell, then how is reincarnation doctrine if there's a hell? Think about that, because the Bible says it is given unto man once to die in Hebrews, and then the judgment. So if you're judged in Hades and you're waiting for your change, that means if you are waiting in the bosom of Abraham for Christ to return and change you, how can you be born back again when you have to be judged based on the life that you had within this earth? The Most High don't give you chances over and over again to come back. This is all we have. I found that out. And I found out that Satan wants us to believe that we have many lives so he can take the life you have. So you can be deceived and tricked into losing everything. When I say everything, it's deeper than your body. It's deeper than this outward thing. It's called your spirit, which is eternal. And that's what the fallen one is after. Now, going into the most important part, because the biggest pushback we received when we started teaching, it wasn't the flee Babylon thing, okay? The Most High says, come out of my people. And listen, there's Israelites every place. So going from one place to another place is not against the law of the Most High. The Most High said, come out of my people. All right? It's up to the individual themselves to make a decision on whether or not they believe they can stay where they are or get up and leave. We're not forcing no one. We've never said you can be with us, or none of that. Or we're here to lead you and guide you out. None of that. We proclaim what the Most High said do. So the biggest pushback is not coming out of Babylon. Even though there is some pushback there, let me tell you, the biggest pushback we received since teaching this word was when we began, our biggest attack is when we began to proclaim the true name of the Most High. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Because like myself, all the Israelites that were within America and around the world were deceived through the Tetragrammaton. They were deceived by the Jewish Masoretes, and I have proof of it. I have dates, and I have the name they gave you. We called on it. See, these people operate hundreds of years in advance under the Illuminati powers. Jacob lost their identity. Esau, leading these secret societies, didn't lose his. So he knew, according to prophecy, because he had our records, he knew that one day the children of Israel would awaken. He knew, regardless of their programming and their biological attacks and their smearing and destruction, that there's one prophecy that they could not keep from the children of Israel for those who seek it. He knew that the Most High would begin to awaken his people. So he thought, he figured that he would put a trap in place, hundreds of years, or thousands of years, 1,000 years in advance, so that when we do begin to wake up, it'll lead us back into a circle. It'll lead us back to their God. And we was all deceived, me included, all of us. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying, listen, brothers, outside of everything, brothers and sisters, we're beseeching you. Take the research that we're going to give you tonight. First of all, before you take the research, pray to the Most High. Pray to the God that guided you into whatever religion you were in before you found out you were Israel. Pray to that God, because he was the one that guided you to this point. In spite of the name we were calling him. Because he understand, according to Acts 17 and 30, in time past he winked at our ignorance, but now command all men everywhere to repent. When we were ignorant, the Most High could not accuse us or go against us in our ignorance, because we were just calling on the only God we knew. But what excuse do we have once the truth is presented to you? What excuse do you have? And see, you can't attribute this to a man, because me or anyone else in this earth, because the Most High is setting his people free, and he proclaimed his name throughout all generations, and he gave his name to the children of Israel before he saved them out of the hand of the Egyptians. We're just blessed according to the Most High, and blessed to be able to share it with you, so that you can make a choice whether or not you want to stay in bonds, or stay a part of the trickery, or stand with your brothers as Israel and come back to our God and call on our God, not separate but together. One of the biggest pushbacks we received is because you got brothers, especially Benjamites, calling on Jah. Now, I understand why they were calling on Jah or Yah. You have to realize, after being afflicted and destroyed by the Europeans, now there's a doctrine that's coming that's pro-black. They would rather call on something that they feel relates to them in color, opposed to the European lifestyles that was imposed, that came with their captivity. They wanted to reject the God of the Europeans. And when Bob Marley came and brought Rastas, that was the alternative for the Benjamites. Okay, at least it was something pro-black, that they could revolt against their slave masters spiritually. Yes, that was a step. It was leading into the children of Israel and the understanding. But they got trapped into a higher deity. And we're going to prove that. When we were coming up and learned the truth, in Philadelphia, you have the Jewish Society publications. It's in Philadelphia, where I once lived. And that's where they print their Masoretic text that they distribute throughout the United States. I went down there when I found the truth, and I actually bought Torahs. I bought a Torah scroll that you can roll. I also had a Tanakh. I had a New Testament. I had everything. And I noticed that it said Masoretic text. But back then, I was so happy to be reading the Hebrew, understanding the Hebrew. I never really understood the importance of knowing who was delivering the text to us. You understand? I didn't question these people called Masoretes, because I had no idea who they were. I mean, I just came out of the Christian church. I was so glad to know I was Israel. And I was glad also to now be reading our ancient records, or what I thought was our ancient records. The majority of it was, but I found out that the Masoretes changed the name of the Most High. And it was right there, clear, in your face the whole time. But because we were upholding a God based on our elders, or what you would call the chief high priest, because we was upholding that particular name, we just ignored what was in our face the whole time. Even those who could understand the Hebrew ignored what the Most High told Moses. It was right there in the verses, and we were reading it. Even on the Sabbaths, we were reading it, and totally ignored it. And then you have other groups out there. You have to realize the people, our elders that came from the early 50s and 60s and the 20s, these brothers were black, children of black slaves converted into Judaism. So there was a high number of our people, which were black Israelites, who were actually believing in the same God of the Jewish people, of the Jewish people in Israel today. Was that right? You're going to find out that the same people that gave you Christianity gave you Judaism also. And because now you can relate yourself to the children of Israel, you thought that was it. But the deception is in layers. It's higher. The higher you go, the greater the deception. And you're going to find that at the pinnacle is the all-seeing eye. He's at the top of it all. He understood we will wake up. So you know what he did? He threw our elders a bone. Christ didn't make no mistake when he says, listen, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Just because you came first doesn't mean you're going to finish the race. It doesn't mean just because you've been teaching and you got a beard hitting the ground and you've been teaching since the 30s and 40s. It doesn't mean that the Most High cannot use a younger man at any interval to become greater, because the Bible says in Daniel that knowledge would increase. We have access to more information right now at the tip of our fingers than our elders had their whole lives. You know how much they would have to pay in books to get the information that's readily available to us now? People looked at Christ because he was so young. Like, who is he? Who's this new Jack? Who's these disciples? We don't know about this. And looked at him and was condescending against him because he was so young and coming against him. Why? Because he wasn't part of the Pharisaical eldership. Okay? He wasn't known. He was just a layman. He was just a carpenter's son, a young man. What can he teach people who was keeping the tradition of the elders? Same thing now. You get people who come up now with some new information and everybody looking at us like, well, what's going on? Where does this name come from? Where's this doctrine coming from? I think I've heard that before when you read the Bible. Read the New Testament. What is this new doctrine? The doctrine is the truth. And I'll tell you what. I want this to be proclaimed throughout the four corners of the earth. Even if you don't like us personally or whatever the case is, put that to the side. Go over this information that we're going to give you this evening. And if you can prove what we're saying is wrong, if you can prove this history that we're about to bring through tonight is wrong, here's our word. We will make a public proclamation and apologize for us bringing anything that was false and bring the information you prove to be true. And we'll make that proclamation beyond any shadow of a doubt. But if you find that what we're bringing is true, then that's between you and the Most High. You got brothers that was from the past that was teaching that his name was Jehovah. And then they were saying Christ's name was Yehoshua. And we said, listen, no. That's not the Most High's name. His name ain't Jehovah. And Christ's name is not Yehoshua. Christ's name is Yeshua. And then others came and say, well, that sounds like Isaiah's name. And we came back and say, well, Yehoshua, that sounds like Joshua's name. So just because someone have a similar or close to a name of another person doesn't mean it's false. Do the research. Go into the Hebrew. If we're going to proclaim truth, let's proclaim truth all the way. Because the deception goes well beyond the slave ships. Okay, the gig is up. Everyone know that we Israel now. We off the slave ships. Now what? Now the deception is doctrinal now. It's doctrinal. You got some people that don't believe in Christ. Some people that don't believe that Paul was a disciple. Some people that just want to deal with the Old Testament. Okay? And we say, listen, if you don't believe in Christ, you're condemned already. So if you don't want to believe in Christ, it doesn't matter if you know the name of the Most High or not. Because if you don't believe in the Son and is willing to get baptized and be covered by his blood, the name availeth nothing at all. But those that are in Christ who understand the importance of truth and will stand against adversity, even if you are the minority, those that do that, you're coming through the straight gate. Now I'm going to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt, number one. And I'm going to get some sources. Number one, I'm going to prove that Jehovah or Yahweh or Jehovah cannot be the Most High's name. And then I'm going to prove that that name belongs to the fallen one, Lucifer. I'm going to prove that. And then I'm going to prove that the Illuminati themselves admits this, and that have been pulled out from the Illuminati, that in their secret circles and their secret societies, that they call on the Tetragrammaton. That's the name of their God. And they worship their God in open. Now, when they get up into high Kabbalah and sorcery, they invoke the name in their circles of sacrifice. They'll never tell you this. See, the fallen one don't care if you follow him in ignorance, as long as you follow him. See, the Most High got one name. The fallen one, or Satan, have many. So you might hear this when in circles. Well, what difference does it make with God's name? He have many names. Okay, the Asians may call him Buddha. The Arabs may call him Allah. The Europeans may call him God. But all in all, he's still the same God. That don't apply to the God of the Hebrews. That applies to the gods of the Gentiles. Why? Because at the Tower of Babel, when the tongues were split, all nations went in their particular areas and the languages were split into 70 languages. And every one of those nations, which were not of the seed of the chosen, which was not of Eber, each seed took their language into their particular lands and continued to worship Semiramis and Nimrod. Of course, they couldn't communicate with each other because the tongues were split. Genesis to the 11th chapter. So yeah, the names they received while they was building the tower, while they was building the Tower of Babel, the names would sound different in the earth today, but still it's the same God they received when they were working together against the Most High in the beginning, in Genesis. So that's why they are similar in their worships, because they took the worship of Semiramis and the worship of Nimrod and Tammuz into their respective areas. Of course, so their God would be in different languages. Their God was Satan. He was the God of Nimrod. What we're saying is Eber, through Peleg, down through Shem, down through Noah, down through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the patriarchs, that the Most High kept a clean lineage that his son would come through. And that eventually, when Israel multiplied as a nation in the land of Egypt and came out of Egypt, a great multitude after only 70 souls walked in, that the Most High revealed his name before he delivered the children of Israel. He delivered it to Moses. Why? Because all the other nations had gods they were already calling on and sacrificing to, even the Egyptians. But our people needed to know, the children of Israel, who was their God. Who was delivering them from the hand of the Gentiles, who was using their God to inflict pain, suffering, and destruction on his people. So the Most High had to separate himself. You understand? What he had to do is he had to make a distinction between him and all the other gods. So you cannot say today that everybody is worshiping the same God, even though they're saying it in different languages. The Most High made it clear so that we could not get this confused. And he gave Moses his name. Now, if there was no difference, then the Most High would not have told the patriarchs, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He would not have given Moses a distinction so that our people would know that he is the God separate from the Egyptians. Every other God in this earth, besides the name that we're going to give you tonight and prove it, every other God you calling on in this earth is Satan. Every one. We're going to give you the research tonight, and I'm going to tell you, we caught a lot of flack from this. And, of course, we're going to catch flack from our own people. That comes with the territory. You can teach truth all day, or whatever the case is. You're going to always get flack from your own people. Who did Christ get flack from? The disciples. So that rolls off your back when you're dealing with truth. Okay? But some of the biggest flack came from those who seen that we were cutting through and we were bringing some serious information that they didn't want the people to hear. You understand? So we put our lives on the line. We put ourselves on the line to bring forth this information. All right? And we're going to put it all out tonight because, listen, the truth must be revealed. We must come out with this truth, bring it forth, so that our people will have what they need to break free and know that the Most High loved them throughout existence. He loved you since you were born. He loved you, and he revealed the information. He used these different people in your life, but all in all, he loved you enough to reveal himself to you. So we praise the Most High for that. So, without further ado, let's go into the information. We have put out different variations of these teachings on some level and different parts and fragments all on the web. So it's no secret that a lot of the information, some of the information we're going to bring tonight. We were initially looking to bring this out in the academy. But I'm like, this information is just so good. And the brothers shared, they sent books to us overnight. And I thank the Most High for those that was involved in making sure we received some of this newer information, which is really groundbreaking. I'm going to tell you the truth. We praise the Most High that he reveals more information to confirm what we knew, what he gave us. We initially thought to teach it through the academy since we've already put out this information. But I'm like, you know what? I can't hold this. We need to bring it. First off, let's deal with the name Yahweh. Let's deal with the name Yahweh. Let's deal with the name Jah or Yah. And let's deal with the Hava. Let's talk about who people call Jehovah or Yahweh. In the English, Jehovah. Who is this? Now, some people would tell you it's the name of the Most High. But let's see. Right here, I got the name Jah in front of me. See if you can all see that. Let's see here. Jah. Let's see here. Jah. Maybe too bright for you, but let's see. Jah. That's what you'll see in the Hebrew. Now what I have here, it says, in your Hebrew, in your Strong's Concordance 3050, it says Yah. Because you know there was no J's until the 16th century. So you got Jah or Yah. That's who the Jamaicans are calling on, predominantly. And then some of our people use this all in America. Yah, we praise Yah. Because it was written in Psalms. Let's go there if you don't mind.
Psalms chapter 68, verse 4. Sing unto the Most High.
Sing unto the Most High.
Sing praises to his name.
Sing praises to his name.
Extol him that rideth upon the heavens.
Go ahead.
By his name, Jah.
By his name what?
By his name, Jah.
By his name, Jah. This is where they would go and say, see, that's the name of the Most High. Oh, so David wrote a song to Jah. Is that clear? Did that happen, or did the Masoretes inject that? We'll find out in a moment. But nonetheless, we got the word Yah or Jah in the Hebrew. Then you have the second part of the tetragrammaton, Hava or Hova or Hawa. In your Strong's Concordance, it's 1952. Okay, 1942. And I want you all to see this clearly. So you don't think that I actually cut and pasted from the Strong's Concordance so you can see it with your own eyes. Okay? Now, the second part of the name that they have given us, Hava or Hawa, is, it says from 1933, in the sense eagerly coveting and rushing upon. Now you know the Most High says, thou shalt not covet. It says, by implication of falling. Now the Most High never fell, but who fell? You can get up in a little bit. Then the next definition for Hava or Hawa is desire. But listen to the rest of this. It's a little suspicious. Ruin, calamity, iniquity, mischief, mischievous thing, naughtiness, naughty, noisome, perverse thing, substance, very wickedness. I highlighted this because I need you to see this. Very wickedness. Right? You put that together, that gives you Yahweh in the ancient Phoenician, or Jehovah, or Yahweh, according to the Jewish powers who are worshiping over in Israel today. So that leads us to 3068, which is the tetragrammaton. I'm going to go into that in a moment. And it says Jehovah, self-existent, eternal, Jehovah, the Jewish national name of God. It's the Jewish nation's name of God. Now, we're not Jewish. They're putting it right in your face whose God it is. Right? It's right there in your face. So my question is, who revealed this name to our people? Jehovah Witnesses. Who was that? Charles Taze Russell, top Mason during the turn of the 20th century, the early the late 19th century, excuse me. Charles Taze Russell began, and you can see a big Masonic, a Masonic statue over Charles Taze Russell's tomb. Straight sorcerer came up with the Jehovah Witnesses. The Masons gave you Jehovah, which is really the English transliteration, or the English name for the Jewish Tetragrammaton, their God. So they had to get you on both sides, not just on the English side, because they understood the slaves would start reading eventually. So they made sure in your text you received their God in English. They made an agreement with the Catholic Church. I'm going to prove that. And then when the Hebrews start waking up, they had to make sure that that name was multiplied in the Masoretic text, the text I actually own, that I bought from the Jewish Society publication in Philadelphia. So they had to inject the name, knowing that we would awaken beyond the English, that the Hebrews would start coming back. So they figured they would give you the same God, the same exact God that they are worshiping, that our people worshiped when we rebelled against the Most High. Yeah. When we rebelled against him, coming out of ancient Egypt. Now, how do we know this? I'm going to go into that in a moment. How do we know it's the same God coming out of ancient Egypt, which was the bull, the calf? You notice the Jewish people, every place they set up their monetary system that links to gold and silver, which is the highest commodity, some of the highest commodities in earth, that when it comes to that, they set up the bull in all the economic power structure cities. That's their God. Their God is the bull. Yes. That's the bull we made coming out of Egypt, which the Most High destroyed. And that name was in ancient Egypt before the Most High revealed his name to the children of Israel. But let's get to the Illuminati part of this. Because the Masons, when they get to a certain level, the name is revealed to them. Now, I'm going to go backwards by first starting with the information, the new information that was sent to us, and then I'm going to go into some of the older information to bring this around full circle and bring out scriptures on it, and you can ask questions. A book was sent called listen to this clearly. A book was sent called Illuminati 2, Deceit and Seduction. Illuminati 2, Deceit and Seduction. Now, who's the author? Henry Makow. Now, we don't know this person. Of course, this person is European. I never met this person. Okay? This book was published in 2010. So that you know, we never met this person. All right? We were pronouncing the name Ahia and bringing it forth at the turn of the so-called millennium, the fake millennium they had in the year 2000. We've been bringing it forth, 2000, 2001. Never met this person. He goes into the Illuminati's program and how they were able to deceive the churches and the masses and what trickery they used to deceive the world and set up certain articulate people, influential people that be over Christian churches and all that. And it was the Jewish people who put their people in place to control every movement and to demoralize the world. And even the spiritual people who searched the Most High, he wanted these people to inadvertently, this is what they wanted, the Jewish people. They wanted these people to inadvertently worship their god, Satan, so that they can keep rulership over them. And they use money. Same way they gave Judas those 30 pieces of silver. They use finances. They use finances in certain demographics in certain areas through religion. They control. That's why all your textbooks and all your religious books are through their publications. And they control the doctrine that would spin you the wrong way when the Most High is guiding you his way. They set what you would call snares in front of you, so that even when you try to go right, something would be in front of you to lead you back to them or under their power. They lied to the Christian church, the Jewish people, and say, well, we're the people who follow the Old Testament. That was a lie. They don't follow the Old Testament. No. Just because you see them in their synagogues on the Sabbath doesn't mean they're following the Sabbath. You should hear some of the talks they have up in there. It have nothing to do with following the Most High. They break all the laws of the Most High. They deceive you into believing that. On this, listen to this now. I don't know if this guy ran into some of our teachings, but this is stuff that was already out that y'all can actually go look online yourself, and it's published. I need you to read right here when it says, when dissected in the Hebrew.
Page 128.
Page 128 of the Illuminati 2.
It says, when dissected in the Hebrew, the true definition of Jehovah or Yahovah is revealed. Yah, H3050, means God. Hova, number H1942, translates to eagerly coveting, falling, desire, ruin, calamity, iniquity, mischief, naughtiness, noisome, perverse, very wickedness. Same thing we've been teaching. Read. Jehovah is synonymous with Baal.
With who?
Baal.
With Baal. Baal is the calf. Baal is the Babylonian worships. That's what the Catholic Church is worshiping, Baal. Read.
Baali. Number H 1180, from Baal, with pronoun my master, a symbolic name for Jehovah.
A symbolic name for who?
For Jehovah.
That's why the Most High says, he tells us that we will no longer call him Baali, but Ishi. Baali is because our people started going off and was tricked into going back to the gods of Egypt, back to the gods of ancient Babylon. Ishi is Yeshua. Look it up. Yeshua is deliverer or savior. Read.
The Jewish encyclopedia Adonai and Baal reveals the name Baal apparently as an equivalent for the YHWH.
So it tell you even in the Jewish encyclopedia that the name of the Jewish God, Baal, is YH what?
WH.
WH. That's the word you would see when people say Yahweh or Yah. It's right in your face. Read.
Since the days of Jeremiah, the Jews have forgotten their God's name and replaced it with the title Baal or YHVH.
Jehovah. Read.
The lying prophets which think to cause my people to forget my name.
See, these are lying prophets. If we cause the Most High's people to forget his name, don't tell me his name is not important. You can try to downplay it and say, well, listen, it doesn't matter. You know, it's about this or it's about that. No, it's about the Most High and it's about truth. It's about all those things y'all saying, but it's also about the truth of his name too. So it's not no either or. It's all of it. Read.
Which think to cause my people to forget my name, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal.
They've forgotten his name for Baal. The Most High was upset with this. So how can you say it doesn't matter? Well, this is what's really important. Let me tell you what's important. If all the things the Most High have done for you, enlightened you and gave you your truth and shown you the light and told you that you was a child of Israel, a child of Abraham, and then you turn back through this and you give all his credit to Satan, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay? So yes, you got all this rich information, slave ships and following the law and following this and keeping its commandment and Shabbat Shalom and all the other cultural things that come with Israel, holy days. What good is it if we flip it around and do it under Satan? What difference? We'll be doing the same thing our foreparents were chastised for. This is the reason we went into slavery, giving the other gods credit for what our God who delivered us did for us. Read.
YHVH and Baal both represent the god of sexual perversion and wickedness.
Hold up. It represents the god of sexual perversion and what?
And wickedness.
And wickedness.
Satan.
Satan.
However, Jews claim that this name, YHVH, is not to be spoken aloud.
But they say it's not to be spoken aloud. Why?
Despite God's command to declare his name throughout the earth.
Even though the Most High said, proclaim his name throughout the earth. The Most High didn't tell you don't say his name. Read.
In the reference, Exodus 9 and 16. Why ignore this commandment?
Why ignore the commandment of proclaiming the Most High's name? It's going to tell you why. Because that name is to be spoken by sorcerers and Kabbalists in witch circles. Years ago, around 4 years ago, I read a book that it's the witches actually have. It's called The Witch's God. Mm-hmm. I seen it in, I think, Tex Mars' book or something, where they talk about the Witch's God or something. It was one of the Illuminati books, and it had the Witch's God in it. And a brother went to a rummage sale, or he went to a yard sale and found the book and brought it. And I looked at the book. The highest name that the witches call when they do their circle and the 6-pointed star for sacrifice is Yahweh or Yahweh. That's what the witches use. That's the witch's God. If you don't believe me, type in witch's God and go through that book and see if you can get it, and you will see the God they call on in secret circles. This is the God of the Illuminati. Yes, this is the God of the Jewish powers. Now, let me put this there because I don't know this guy, but he brought forth some information we received about a decade ago that we were teaching out. We was teaching to the people, and no one wanted to hear it. But maybe they'll hear it if Henry Macau give it to them. Maybe they'll hear it if Henry Macau give it to them. Since they're so used to only accepting what the Jewish powers say to them. Now it's credible, right? They gave you Yahweh. They gave you Jehovah. They gave you the Masoretic text, and you accepted it, and you fought against your brother. No, it's called the witch's God. G-O-D. The witch's God. G-O-D. You fought against your brothers who told you the truth. And you upheld the God that the Jewish people gave to you. Maybe you'll accept this guy who studied the Illuminati, Henry Macau. Maybe you would listen to him, since you can't listen to your own brother. Since you don't have enough respect to talk to your brother and say, okay, let's do this together. So maybe you'll listen to them. That's everything we were teaching. This guy published. Look at it. Right? Want y'all to see that. Right? I didn't make this up. This is Illuminati 2, uttering God's name. Now look what it says about uttering God's name, and we have it in highlight. I want you to read it.
It says Judaism claims to be the authority on the Old Testament.
Judaism claims to be the authority on the Old Testament. Read.
However, they do not practice what they teach. They dress in black.
He says they dressed in black. He say, but they don't practice what they preach. First of all, they dressed in black. What else?
The color of death.
The color of death. It's like they go into a funeral. Read.
In spite of the scriptural precept to wear white.
And the scriptural precept is to say that we'll be made white. White as snow. Read.
Reject Christ as Messiah.
It says the Jewish people also reject Christ as the Messiah. Go ahead.
Who is prophesied throughout the Old Testament.
Who's prophesied throughout the Old Testament.
And refuse to speak God's name in violation of the scriptures.
And they refuse to speak the Most High's name in violation of the scriptures. They know the Most High's true name. You got to know the name if you're going to hide it. But they are afraid that the true people of God may embrace it and go against their God. And you have to realize the Most High made everything you see with the word. So when we speak that name, we bring forth life. We bring forth something to fight against our adversary. The adversary and his cohorts and his underlings have taken our greatest weapon from us. The connection with our God. The understanding of the importance of relating to him and speaking to him and understanding that he have revealed the truth to us. All the understanding we have, and let me tell you out there, our brothers got a wealth of knowledge. Our sisters have a wealth of knowledge out there according to the word. But they'll turn around and give all that credit right back to the same people who've deceived them. And right back to the God who wants your soul. Christ wasn't praying to no Jehovah. He told those people who was praying to Jehovah and that was praying to those other gods, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. You were a murderer from the beginning. He told them. So those are the people, and with their doctrine, that have brainwashed us, who have watched us clearly, closely, through our captivity, knowing that one day we would stand and cleave to our God again before the great deliverance, as was when we came out of Egypt. He knew that we would cleave. They knew we would cleave to our God at the very end. You can't hide this for long. And they paid the articulate and smart and the smart people, or the people of high intellect. They have actually initiated them into their club, into their fraternity, to go against us, to be the authority, to keep our people asleep, even though the Most High has awakened us. And then, now that that don't work anymore, because we're seeing through their Illuminist powers, them being connected to fraternities and dealing with Satan and Masonry, now they're using psychotropic drugs. That's sorcery. Putting our people all on drugs now to try to disconnect them. Giving us all types of things so that our brains are confused, so that we can't think soundly and connect to that God that's calling us. What else you have there, Reed?
It says, by reverencing their name of God.
By reverencing what?
Their name of God.
By reverencing their name of God. Go ahead.
YHVH.
YHVH.
By not speaking it. Jews create an air of mystery and holiness around the name while enhancing the curiosity surrounding its pronunciation and power.
So by them not saying it in public, it makes everyone curious to why they have a name to themselves that they're not telling people. He say, here's the trickery they use. They'll tell you we got the name of God and only we have it. And for the curious person who think that they're spiritual, they'd be like, man, I want that God too. Right? This is how they do it. They do it in masonry. As you go through each stage, they say, listen, when you get to the highest stage, we're going to reveal the true name of God to you. We can't tell the public. So by sheltering this demonic name they have, it makes it enticing to those who want to be in the in crowd, who desire to know this secret name that they have, that they claim they can't tell anyone. Read.
When curious Jews and non-Jews alike.
When curious Jews and non-Jews alike
See the sacred tetragrammaton being used in occult practice.
they see it being used in occult practices. Read.
They are intrigued by the prospective that their sorcerers have harnessed the mystical powers of the name.
So they are intrigued by these sorcerers who have harbored the name. They see the power and they see the prestige that goes with them doing this. And people look at the Jewish people and say, look at them. They suffered all this, but they got so much. Look at the power they have. A God must be with them. And then they teach the people in the church like that. Even though they don't know Jesus yet, God must be with them. Look how they're being blessed. When really, they are invoking their God. The same God that told Christ, that spoke to Christ and took him to the mountains, the pinnacle, and says, listen, look at all these kingdoms. I'll give you everything if you bow down and worship me. That's the God they're worshiping right now, the Jewish people in Jerusalem. The same God they're worshiping at the wall. That's their God. Okay? They have taken the agreement that our Lord and Savior refused. So that's why they're being so-called blessed. Not blessed by God. They're being paid by their God, Jehovah. They're being paid by their God, Yahweh. I'm going to prove it. Read.
It says Wicca, Satanism.
Wicca, that's why I said in that book, The Witch's God, that's the highest name in Wicca. Read.
Satanism.
Satanism, the highest name in Satanism. Go ahead.
Tarot.
And tarot, in the worship of tarot and dealing with tarot cards. It's the highest God there. And you notice through all these things I'm mentioning, you have the six-pointed star, which is the star of Moloch, the same star that's on the Jewish calendar today. Read.
Occult Catholicism.
Occult Catholicism. So at the highest pinnacle, that's why you have the six-pointed star in the Catholic Church. Occult Catholicism. They call on that name. Read.
Masonry and Kabbalism.
Masonry and Kabbalism. Read.
Use their knowledge of the sacred name of God as bait to recruit cult members.
They use this name as a baiting tool to recruit cult members. Like, yeah, we're going to bless you. We're going to give you everything. And guess what? Your religious leaders, especially your Christian leaders, your Christian leaders in America know this. A lot of them. I'm not talking about the little guys on the corner that aspire to be on TBN. I'm talking about the people that are on TBN right now. Your Creative Flow of Dollars. Your TD Jakes. They were intrigued with what the Jewish people had and said, listen, I want some. I want to be a part of this team. I want to be a part of this fraternity. Yes. And that's why they uphold the Jewish people and love their God. Uphold the Jewish God. Read. And he's also going to go into how they actually gave Christians their doctrine that they're teaching in Christian church today. How can non-believers of Christ and killers of Christ give you your brand of doctrine in Christianity? Why? Because they inadvertently have all Christians following their God too. It's sorcery. It's witchcraft. And when you wake up out of this, they have no choice but to brand you a terrorist, because they know that the Most High is going to link in with these people who are acknowledging him, and they will be used to terrorize in the spirit when Christ returns. They know that these people will get power on high. There's not too many people out there proclaiming the truth of the Most High's name and is willing to go on a limb with it. Everyone is following the same program. Read.
If the name were not hidden, these cults would lack a critical tool in their recruitment processes.
So if they didn't hide their name or keep their name for their little rituals and use it as a baiting tool, then it would lose its stellar. These groups would not have these people desiring to get in. Everyone wants to be in the in crowd. The same where someone may go into one of these colleges, which is utterly ridiculous now because it was always ridiculous, these party places, so-called higher education, when it's really about getting into fraternities. Everyone, you get that relationship so that when you are out of this school, you have developed relationships with powerful people who are now in the fraternity of the elite. That's what it's really about. So you can be one of those guys who always desired to be in the in crowd. And see, they know people. They can psychologically profile those that they can use. People that have always been rejected, and you know, and then but they notice you smart. So you'll get into one of these schools and you'll be approached. Say, yeah, why don't you hang out with us? Man, you got a family, you got a fraternity. Come with us. Come on and hang out with us. You know, we want to show you something, but you can't say nothing. This is only for us. This is how they get you in. And you feel special because you get something that no one else can see. This is how they recruit people. Read.
They could not offer this forbidden knowledge if the Jews, the self-proclaimed authority on God, spoke this name openly. See,
they could not use that tool to recruit people into Satanhood if the Jewish people would just give the Most High's name openly. Or if they would even give their God openly. It wouldn't be used as a recruiting tool. So they say, nah, we can't take the Lord's name in vain. We're going to hold the name. Mm-hmm. I had a rabbi say, yeah, you know, you want to be a Jew? I mean, you know, you got to come through. You know, it may take you 5 years. And I'm looking at him like, what's wrong with this guy? But you have a lot of our people from the 20s. And may the Most High bless them because they didn't know at that time. But a lot of our people went through the steps and the hurdles that the Jewish people had them jump through so that they can be recognized as Jews. We were born as Israel. I don't need their recognition. We don't need their recognition. We don't need their God. We're here to tear their kingdom down. That's what we're here for. First, spiritually, by letting our people know the importance of cleaving to the God that delivered us from Egypt. Finish reading.
The mystery religions and witchcraft covens owe a great debt to Judaism for conditioning the mainstream to accept the importance and secrecy of this name.
Go ahead.
The vocal praise of the name YHVH is reserved for the elect who learn the Kabbalah.
Who learned the what?
Who learned the Kabbalah.
Who learned the Kabbalah. Go ahead.
And pay money to do so.
And pay money to do so. You remember when Madonna went over there and started studying the Kabbalah? Remember when Will Smith went over there and started studying the Kabbalah? Barack Obama studied the Kabbalah? Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, this thing goes through all walks of life. And they don't just let anyone come over there and be a Kabbalist. You must pay top dollar. You must become a part of their fraternity to sit amongst these demons. Finish reading.
It says, the vocal praise of the name YHVH is reserved for the elect.
It's reserved for the elect, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been elected by Satan. We're going to prove that. Read.
Who learn the Kabbalah and pay money to do so, and is forbidden by the profane. Judaic doctrine.
Now this is funny. Here's the funny part about this. You have those out there that claim that, okay, this religion stuff. It doesn't make any sense. There's no God. Well, why are the Jewish people going through so much? The same people that have given you evolution, the same people who have given you the doubt concerning whether or not there is a God, but yet they're following their program to a T under their God, Satan, under Lucifer. Like I said before, these people believe. If you believe in Satan, you have to know there's a God. But what they believe is that their God was dealt unjustly. That's what they feel. They feel that man has a chance to repent and come back to the Most High. But their God did one thing wrong, and here it is, he's been hurled. So they're feeling compassion for this, for this spiritual psychopath. See, that's what's going on here. And then they're being recruited and saying, well, listen, how can a God, listen, I'm a God that will let you fulfill all your desires. You understand? I don't judge you for doing something wrong. Man, that sounds like what's being taught in the Christian church. Right? That's the brand of doctrine that was given to the Christian church by the Jewish people. And I'm going to prove it. Read.
Judaic doctrine is fundamental to selling the occult as a righteous practice. Satan is the author of confusion and goes by many names.
He goes by many names, not the Most High. So when you make that statement, well, the name doesn't matter because the Most High have many names. No, you are a liar. You are a liar. Satan have many names, not the Most High. Okay? Go ahead. Yeah. I need you to read where it says many of the ancient pagan.
Many of the ancient pagan deities were Satan and his angels in other forms. The reference, the two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. The Jews employ a number of false names for God in their rituals, which are also alternate titles for Satan and other powerful demons.
See that? They have many gods. They have many names for him and their different rituals and their different sects. Read.
In the same manner, the black magician and Satanist invokes demons by name.
Hold up. Who invokes demons by name?
The black magician and Satanist invokes demons by name. In the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey, Jewish, the so-called father of the Church of Satan, was set up by Jewish people. You notice rock and roll back in the day, Kiss, all these were Jewish people. Straight Satanist. The whole rock and roll, they took our rock and roll that we were doing, really, it was really church music at first. Then they spinned it and put a Satan connotation on it with Jewish people and dressed them in makeup and all that with black fingernails and goth and had them screaming at the top of their lungs, worshiping Satan. And then they set up a Satan church. These were all Jewish people, folks. While they sitting there in your church programming you and making you think that they're the children of God. While you're in total sleep and darkness, they're just out in the open letting you know, listen, we're the children of Satan. Can't you see? Read. Anton LaVey provides an extensive list of infernal names that, when summoned, provide the practitioner with superhuman abilities.
Listen, Anton LaVey was showing, and he was Jewish, that if you use these particular names, some people can get superhuman abilities. That's opening themselves up for spirits. When you look at the scriptures, when Christ went into that man that was near the tomb, who had a legion of spirits on him, and they tried to put him in chains, and he broke off the chains off of him. They could not hold him because he was so strong. He's teaching people how to actually, Anton LaVey, he taught, and the Church of Satan survives till this day. Anton LaVey was teaching people how to get these spirits within them for certain strengths and power. Read.
Namely, intelligence, power.
To get smarter.
Intelligence, power, skills and manipulation.
Skills of manipulation, which is psychology. Yeah. Psychology is straight sorcery. Read.
Enhanced creativity, Material wealth.
Material wealth. Oh, give me money, money, money. This is what they say. Give me money. This is what they're saying. Give me money. And they follow Satan and then follow Satan. This is what they're saying. This is what they're saying, brothers and sisters. Read.
And the satisfaction of diverse lusts.
And the satisfaction of diverse lusts. They give you certain names for these things. Now, let's go to page. Oh, let me put this on the screen so you can all see this.
If I could say something
Go ahead.
real quick. It's interesting that he mentioned that these demons can give you intelligence and also enhanced creativity. Number one, intelligence, as we always mention. When you look at guys like Nikola Tesla and Einstein, all these guys who are upheld as geniuses, really all they were dealing with was demon possession and demon worship in order to get, so-called intelligent and also enhanced creativity. We see that a lot in one small example, the music industry. You may have a guy who may seem super talented and may have a lot of talented abilities, but a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these so-called creative abilities that they have come from demons. So I just want to put that out there.
Exactly. So you call them geniuses and think that they are super intelligent, and you worship them as if they have some high level genius and just are phenoms. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case at all. A lot of them were sacrificed to Satan from the womb. Mm-hmm. Their parents were Satanists, and they gave their child to Satan from birth. Do the research on a lot of these guys you think are geniuses. Mm-hmm. Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein. Do the research on them. Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley was used for all the elect, for the CIA, all that. Top demon. Guess who he called on? Yahweh. Jehovah. I got more. And I want to just run through this real quick, if you don't mind. I'm going, and this is the key thing I wanted to bring out. The next page, page 130, under the Illuminati 2, is demonology. Demonology. Let me run through this real quick. It says, the secret of the ancient Egyptians and their modern disciples, the Freemasons, is the art. Don't forget, you got your pyramid, the Great Pyramid, Giza, on your dollar bill. So these are the gods they're worshiping, brothers and sisters, with the all-seeing eye at the pinnacle. The same gods of Egypt, the people who've enslaved us, the gods that were used to enslave our people and to afflict pain on us, came from ancient Egypt also. So our so-called founding country, America, the country we think is the land of the free, was really an enslavement place for God's people. The all-seeing eye is them seeing, they can see. They're the enlightened ones who can see in the dark, but we're the ones asleep in the dark. Not understanding that these are the gods we learn are the same gods that were inflicting pain and suffering on our people. That's why we're dealing with pain and suffering in this world, in these countries right now. It's the same ideology. It says, the secret of the ancient Egyptians and their modern disciples, the Freemasons, is the art of demonology for gaining power, mainly through the devil, Jehovah. In the Royal Ark degree, the Freemasons acknowledge that the devil is the guise of Jabulon. In his sacred lord, the name Jabulon being a composite of Yahweh or Yahweh, Baal, and Osiris. It tell you he chants it, and it says Albert Pike. Remember the lesson we went on in Albert Pike? They got a statue, this top Mason, not too far from the White House, who's not even he wasn't even an elected official. Albert Pike, who Jewish guy created the KKK. It says Albert Pike discusses Kabbalistic Masonic significance of Yahweh or Jehovah is the great length in his book Morals and Dogma. Morals and Dogma. First paragraph there. Let me read on. The name Yahweh or Jehovah or Jehovah, if you're saying it in English, was injected into the text of the Old Testament by the Pharisees and others who practiced Babylonian Satanism, the precursor to Kabbalism and Talmudism. For those who don't believe the Talmud is satanic, it proclaims that Christ is in hell boiling in excrement and in semen. And that's in Gittin 56b, 57a. An agreement was forged between the Jewish Masoretes and the Catholic Church in 1000 AD to change the name of the God in Hebrew Old Testament to the pagan name Yahweh. Jehovah via the Tetragrammaton. And you can find this on remnantradio.org/articles/sacred_name.htm. He gives you a source where you can actually go into the history to when the Jewish people got in league with the Catholics to change the Most High's name in the text we received coming out of slavery. So the stories are correct. The spirit of the book is correct. But they want us to attribute all the greatness of our records to their God, Yahweh, or Satan himself. That's why we don't say Yah. Yah is Yahweh. We don't say Yah because Yah is Yabulin or Jabulin, a name you learn when you're getting high in masonry, and now they want to reveal names of Satan, the true God of this government, to the elite or his so-called elect who would bow and reverence him for gain in this world. So some people say, well, I've been blessed by calling this name. Things have happened right for me. You can't tell me this feeling. Listen, you got to separate that from the God who knew you from the womb. The God that knew you from the womb when you were born, you didn't know a name, but he guided you. So stop that and thinking that everything, that all your blessings came from this God you're calling. That Satan tried to trick you into not represent the God he has something against. More. It says, this explains Rosenthal's, another Jewish person, saying, we are amazed by the Christians' stupidity in receiving our teachings and propagating them as their own. Let me repeat this. Rosenthal, yes, he's one of the Jewish Zionists who came and was explaining about the elders of Zion, their true mission in this earth. Eventually they got rid of him. Mm-hmm. But he says, we are amazed by the Christian stupidity in receiving our teachings and propagating them as their own. Like, how can you believe us? This is what he's saying. When we don't respect Christ. We don't like him. That's what they're saying. These Jewish people don't respect Christ. The Jewish people don't respect him. You understand? So now they're teaching the Christians not to respect the true Christ and tricking them into following their God. And they did this by invoking and injecting the name. And it's like witchcraft. It's like sorcery. You start saying the name. You notice people in church, they be going into their convulsions and shaking and all that when they saying certain names. They are invoking demons into existence. Don't forget, everything was created with the word. Words are very important. Now it so happened that I have the PDF, and you can get it, called the International Jew, Volume 4. I'm not going to have time to go through it today, maybe at a later time. But in this particular work, listen to this clearly, the International Jew by Henry Ford. It says the Christian cannot read his Bible except through Jewish spectacles. And therefore, they read it wrong. Let me tell you its purpose. Its purpose, no sooner as we started rising as a people, the Jewish people linked in with Martin Luther King and started funding Martin Luther King against Malcolm. They created the NAACP because why? If we can't stop it, because it's not time to destroy them altogether yet, let's control it. And let's control it with our spin on Christ. Even though we don't believe in Christ, we'll tell them to take up the content of Christ that allow us to beat them over the head and not fight back. So let's fund the side that don't understand we kicking their backs out. You understand? Instead of trying to get into the side that opposed to us, that won't let us in. This is how they operated. So they say, listen, we can't spin Malcolm X side because they're just, listen, we want to be separated from y'all. We can't spin or get into the Black Panther side the way we want to because they're using guns to protect their neighborhoods. And it's more them than us. You understand? Into their neighborhoods because we may have about 2-3 white cops walking the beat at that time. It was predominantly whites. But you got hundreds of guys walking around with machine guns and weapons. So we can't deal with that. So let's get on the side. This articulate guy, he's just out of college, Martin Luther King. Let's use this young man. Let's link in and finance his side so that we can have an internal fighting of these people. And let's use Jesus. Even though we don't believe in Christ, we're going to concentrate on the love and docile and the forgiving spirits and just have them totally deal with that and not the other side of the understanding of Christ. Like when he went into the temple and beat us out of the temple. We don't want them to deal with that Christ. Going back to the name, and this is what blew me away, and I'm glad we received this book because the last statement that was made in this book blew me away. I need you to read the last paragraph when it says the wise Solomon.
The wise Solomon asked, what is God's name?
The wise Solomon asked, what is the Most High's name?
And what is his son's name?
And what is his son's name?
If thou can tell.
If thou can tell.
Proverbs 30:4.
Go ahead.
God's name is Ahiah.
Is what?
Ahiah.
God's name is what?
God's name is Ahiah.
You mean to tell me that is written in the Illuminati too? God's name is what?
Ahiah.
Go ahead.
Sometimes translated Ayah, meaning I am.
Meaning what?
Meaning I am.
Meaning I am. Go ahead.
That is the name given to Moses along with the law. And the Most High said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am have sent me unto you. This is my memorial unto all generations. I am the Most High thy power. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
I don't know this person. We never met this person. But we thank the Most High for the truth. Ahaya Ashar Ahaya is his name. The Illuminatis. He's even breaking down the Illuminati and what they're saying. Now, I have more before we open this up. Where's the other book? The Angels. I have another book, and I'm not going to go into the title of this particular book because I don't want, it's just, it's enough people go into all these things. I just want to pull some of these things out that the other people be going into so that you'll know what's really going on. And a brother years ago, around, I think a brother, Ayai Sharak, about 1999, after things fell out and we were no longer following the old things, we were into the new teachings of Christ. He said, man, you need to see this book. It's information on angels. I'm like, well, okay. Usually when you're dealing with Israel, you're suspect of any book. But if you have a strong foundation in Scripture, then you don't have to worry about being swayed with this other mess that's out there. Because let me tell you, they be putting their information in books. We don't read books, brothers and sisters. Let me go into Yahweh or Jehovah out of this particular book. It's a book on angels. And you notice in the book, all through it, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but it has what you would call the Kabbalah tree of life all up in it. Jewish people know about this. Right? And on this side, it says Jehovah or Yahweh, which is one of the many names of Metatron. One of the many names of Metatron. One moment. It says, one of the many names of Metatron. Same thing, tetragrammaton. One of the many names of, see it in highlight, Metatron. Metatron, Megatron, they be telling you, even in Transformers, came down to earth, fell into the earth, transformed into something, but they use cars and trucks so that you don't get alarmed that they're talking about fallen angels and demons that are now controlling the powers of this earth. But let's see who's Metatron in this same book. Metatron. This is interesting. Metatron, El Shaddai, reproduced from Mathers, the greater key of Solomon. There go your Metatron. There go Yahweh. There's Yahweh. There's Jehovah. And what's over his head? The six-pointed star. Star of Moloch. That's where they do child sacrifice. That's what they're going to use this Christmas, to sacrifice a little 12 or 13-year-old young little girl they probably done kidnapped already. This is what they do. That's Yahweh. That's Jehovah. That's Yah. I have other books. Last but not least, to pull it all together, something that we went into last week to prove that the golden calf that we were dealing with, the people who were off and against the truth of the Most High. And don't forget, Israel wasn't together throughout existence. Only 10% of Israel is going to make it through this. And then out of that 10%, 2/3 going to be cut off and die in the wilderness. So you have to realize, you knowing you Israel is not the end of this. Just because we're Israel doesn't mean we're together, brothers and sisters. And that's what you have to understand. All those people out there claiming that we need to bring Israel together, listen, Christ is going to bring Israel together. those that are with him. You can't unite all of Israel. That's Yeshua's job. Read Isaiah, the 11th chapter. Okay, so you saying that you wish everyone could come together and be on one accord and one doctrine, that will never happen, because some people are going to stay in what they deal in, regardless of your desires to have all Israel together. Who want Israel to come together more than the Most High? Okay, so don't be counterproductive and fight against prophecy. What you can do is follow the Most High in spirit and truth, and follow the truth of Yeshua, and pray that he gather the elect to the elect. Because let me tell you, you out there trying to pull people together and pull all Israel together, they'll end up crucifying you. The same people you trying to pull together. Because why? They are invoking and dealing with another God. You just got to stand with truth. Last but not least, to prove to you that Yahweh or Jehovah or Yehovah, to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that that is the name of the golden calf. Let's go to Exodus, the 32nd chapter.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 1.
Read.
And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we went not what has become of him.
So when Moses went up to the mount to receive the commandments from the Most High, he was up there so long that the people thought that maybe he wouldn't make it back. So they put Aaron over the camp and said, Aaron, it's time for us so that we can be safe. Let's make us a God and pray to this God. And let's make homage to this God. We're here in the wilderness by ourselves. We need to pray to a God. Now, mind you, the only gods they had knowledge of were the gods they brought out of Egypt at this time. Because the Most High haven't revealed himself, haven't revealed the commandments to them at this time. They haven't walked into the wilderness, walked into Canaan at this time. And don't forget, that was an unbelieving generation. The Most High killed off every man, woman of generation that came out of Egypt, and only let their children walk into the land of Canaan, except for two, Joshua and Caleb. So these people were unbelieving. That's why they were marching around 40 years in the wilderness in a circle. And Israel wasn't too far from where they were. Canaan was not too far. So it's the same with our people. You can tell them the truth, but they'll just walk around in a circle and try to ignore it and just try and without dealing with the truth. This is how we are. So now, according to the scriptures, Moses is up. He went up to the wilderness. He went up to the mount. And now they're making a golden calf. Verse
2.
Go ahead.
And Aaron said unto them.
And Aaron said unto them.
Break off the golden earrings.
Break off your golden earrings.
Which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters.
Go ahead.
And bring them unto me.
And bring them unto me.
And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears.
Go ahead.
And brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, and he made it a molten calf.
He made it a what?
A molten calf.
You notice you got a molten calf in all the societies where the Jewish people, banks rule. Wall Street, in London, all the different places, and I've seen them myself, all around the world. Every place they got a stake with their God, Yahweh. They have the bull. Read.
And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel.
These be thy gods, O Israel. Read.
Which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Now, was these the gods that brought Israel out of the land of Egypt? No. But they gave all the credit of the Most High parting the Red Sea and everything to this particular God. Now, think about that. That's what happens when we get the truth and give all the credit the Most High gave us back to the golden calf. Read.
Verse 5. And when Aaron saw it,
And when Aaron saw it,
he built an altar before it.
he built an altar.
And Aaron made proclamation and said,
Now he built an altar for this God, which they claim brought them from the land of Egypt. Now you know how the story goes. Eventually the Most High swallow a lot of these people up. Told Moses, go down there and tell them which side they're going to stand on. And those that stand on the other side, I'm going to kill. Now Aaron was reprimanded after this, but all in all, he stepped on the right side. He was the leader of this. What did Aaron do?
and Aaron made proclamation.
He made a proclamation and said what?
Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord.
Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. Now, what Lord was Aaron making a feast to? Not the one that was giving Moses the commandments on the mount. So the feast that he was proclaiming is what the Jewish people follow today. Now, he says a feast to the Lord. So we know that was to the golden calf, right? When you look at the word Lord right there for the golden calf, it gives you in Hebrew, look at your Strong's Concordance, 3068. What is that today? That is the self-existent, eternal Jehovah, the Jewish national name of God. It's Satan. So there's other records that we can go into, but I think that, we got other books, but I think that's plain and simple. I have records where the Catholic Church got the Tetragrammaton with the pyramid, all that, with the all-seeing eye, with the name Yahweh written right under Jehovah or Yahweh written right up under it. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, you think that you've been broke free when you received that Jewish Masoretic text and you seen that name. And then you were looking into the old scrolls and say, listen, on papyrus papers, we seen that name. Of course you did. Even though you never seen them yourself, the Jewish people told you that. You notice when they find our records, it goes to them. And then they tell us what's on it. Or it goes to the Masoretes and they spin things and they reveal it to people. So you have to look at who's filtering our information and their intent before readily accepting it. Do your research. Okay? If it is in the past in scrolls, and it is, that name, Yahweh, doesn't mean it's correct. Our people had it coming out of Egypt. And we're punished as a people today because we followed and gave all the credit of our God to Satan. So yes, our people wrote the name down in the past. But look at us today based on their revolt against the true God of Israel. The Bible tells you in Exodus 3, tell them I am that I am sent you unto them. I am that I am, and you can see this in your Hebrew, is Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya. They injected Jah in Psalms. They injected that in 1000 AD. The Catholics and the Jewish sorcerers who are controlling the earth today, who are controlling the Illuminati. Also, one thing before I go, and I guess I'll go into it more so tomorrow because I'm running out of time here. I wanted to say that Woodrow Wilson, a brother sent this and I wanted to read it. It says, Woodrow Wilson, he made a statement. Now, he was a president, the 28th president, from 1913 to 1921. And as you can see, that was the time that the Federal Reserve was made. Okay, and he was set up to bring in a new system, a new cash system that would feed on the people, and then they knew they would bring a society that would make you desire wealth, desire a new life, desire the image of the beast. So they had to set a system in place to control the grid and eventually bring forth the mark of the beast, and to put everybody everywhere in debt. Woodrow Wilson seen the perils of this particular legislation. And this is what he said, and this is why your presidents do not dare go against their leaders. The presidents are puppets. They're just figureheads. They have nothing. They don't make no legislation, and they have nothing to say when it comes to the main scheme, when it comes to the main construct of this world. They're nothing. Okay? They're just used by the Illuminati and those that are over the Illuminati, the spirits. They're just used so that people can have someone to blame and not look at them. So they'll just pay them off and have them take the fall and just throw another puppet in while they continue their destructive path against the children of the elect and their deceitful programs. It tells us, Woodrow Wilson made a statement, and it says, some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce, notice commerce, it always go back to that bull, money, finances, stock market. Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of something. There is a power so organized, so subtle, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. That means there's something going on over your government structure that the puppets in place, even though they can see certain things because they're in these secret meetings like your Bilderberg meetings and all these different high meetings, they better not utter the true program of their leaders. If they do, they end up like JFK. What did this guy know? What did Woodrow Wilson know? Okay? There's something these people can't utter. Also, they know the true plans. They know the true plans of the Illuminati to come against us. They know it's about bloodline. They know this. They know it's about prophecy. They understand this. But none of your elected officials can utter. They have to go with the program. Take your pay. Take your 30 pieces of silver and save your family. This is what they're telling them. They're worshiping Yahweh. They're worshiping the calf. And we denounce that and we rebuke it in the name of Ahia, Bahashem, Yeshaya, the God of the Hebrews. With that, we're going to say shalom, and we'll open this up for questions, and we'll continue this lesson and go into future prophecy tomorrow at 11 a.m. your time. Shalom.